Could you give us more details on what Ideamotive offers to its customers?
So basically, the marketplace side is our core business. So what we specialize in is that we can match a proper talent with needs of our customers, and it doesn't matter. We're like, I like to say that we are like technology agnostic. So basically, because if I should say it correctly, I should like give you a context. So maybe we'll start from the context because then you probably will understand it better. So let's start from how IT works in Poland, because like in Poland we have like a lot of dev shops. We call them software houses. Maybe you're familiar with this word, but they're like dev shops. And basically, a dev shop is a place where like a couple of developers, like 10, 15, 20, 30 developers gather under one brand and they deliver some products, right? The customer can come, they can hire like a team and they can deliver him or her a product. And basically what is very specific about those dev shops is that they very often specialize in a given area. So for instance, React in a given technology or in mobile development or in web development. But on the other side, there is a huge asymmetry of information between those companies, software companies, and customers. So if I am a customer and I am a business-oriented guy and I want to build an app, I have no idea about which technology to pick, what framework is the better one to use for my purposes, business purposes. So basically what I do a research. Basically, I go for like a couple of agencies and I reach out to a given agency that is, for instance, is specializing in React. So obviously this agency will promote React to build this given app, which is not always the best case for this given customer, right? Because like sometimes React is the best option, but sometimes Vue will be better in terms of like performers or maybe like given ready to use tools or frameworks within this technology. So this is a huge problem because customer doesn't know what to pick. And agency on the other side will always promote the technology they're using because they're experts in it, right? So in our case, because we used to be a dev shop kind of this, we were specializing in Ruby on Rails development and React Native, but we kind of like were aware of this phenomenon, of this dynamic, and we said that's not the point, right? We rather be on the client side and help him decide and like give him whole palette of technologies and help him decide and understand which technology is better for him, and then try to pick the proper talent for this given technology, for this given project with the proper expertise. So we switched from being like a classical agency, classical dev shop, to being like a consultancy, to being kind of like a marketplace in which we first of all help our customers to understand what their needs are and what technology is best for them. And then because of this marketplace side, we have a talent pool that we can easily match with our customers' needs. So we are kind of technological agnostic. So it means that if you have whatever mobile app, web application, I don't know, even like designer or analytical needs or whatever connected to tech, we can help you out because we have competencies in order to give you an expertise and feedback. And then we can build a proper job description. Because of the fact that we are technical people, we can vet those developers, this talent, and then give you a proper talent, proper match for your needs. So basically, this is like a unique proposition because this is something in between dev shop and recruitment agency. Because like a recruitment agency, of course, work maybe on the same basis. Like you come to them and they give you a proper talent. But the thing is that they are not very technical very often. So we have this technical background, this technical team on our side, which can help you out both with proposition of which kind of technology to pick, and second to match and test those developers before we present to our customers. So this is like a unique proposition. This is like a demand side of the market. Supply side works probably it's quite obvious how it works. So basically, if we have like customers and we are good in matching and challenging our customers, and we know what they need and what they're supposed to do, then it's very attractive for our developers, for this demand side, supply side, to be very attractive for them. Because like sometimes, very often, when contractors are being hunted by agencies and by recruiters, They have little know about the future project. They have to go into the process, talk to the client first. There are like many stages of this process. It's quite demanding for the for kind of this talent, and only after that they can decide. Okay, I know what's going on. Yes or no. And we understand this dynamic because we have developers of our own. We know them, we talk to them, and we can provide them the details we gather for them in order them to decide and pick the best project they want to participate in. So this gives kind of a balance, and we try to be like a consultant for both parties, and to advise both parties what's the best thing for them to do.
How many people are in your team and do you operate on a global scale?
All right, so we have to divide our team into two chunks. And first one is a delivery team. So basically talent that we provide to our customers. So all people like programmers, designers, all people that are like putting value into our customers' hands, and they're working for them because we kind of do mostly team extension thing. So we provide talent to teams of our clients. So this is around 100 people now, and they all work remotely. And it's kind of funny because like this remote thing is really important for us, because this is kind of a freedom both on supply and demand side. So we have, of course, headquarters and we have offices, but we have a freedom of choosing the place we work from. So we don't care from where a given talent, given the delivery man works from. The basic thing is that he has to deliver, right? Has to have internet connection and has to be available in a like given time slots, right? So the time differences is sometimes a point, but an overlap of 2 to 3 hours is quite enough for most of the projects. So we don't really care, but it from where the people work on the delivery side. But of course, we had to establish and develop given rituals and practices in order to keep them, satisfied, motivated, to reach out to them, to gather feedback. So it was kind of a switch for us because we used to be a dev shop in which all people working for Ideamotive used to work from the same place, from the same office, from the same spot, from one city. And nowadays we have people over globe, from Poland, but not only, for the whole Europe, and even from like very very like faraway countries like Indonesia, for that instance, right? So, and it works, but we had to implement some processes and transparency for both parties to make it work. And we have a second chunk, which is like a business team, and it includes all the operations or sales, marketing, financial, legal, and stuff like that. And that was a bigger challenge for us to move from being in a physical place together towards being like a fully remote team. And we had to introduce some practices. It was a very nice management challenge for us because it was a new thing to do, but we had this opportunity, and we realized that having a remote team makes people happy because like they can work from wherever they want. And what we do like a remote trips. Me myself, I like every second or third month I go somewhere, I don't know, Barbados or Cape Verde or something like that. I work from there because I just need a computer and a good internet connection, and I can manage my team and everything from distance. And it also enabled us to reach out to talent we couldn't not before because like we were like limited by the space, right? So, for instance, if we had headquarters in Warsaw, we're basically looking for people in Warsaw. But now there are open doors, and we can look for them and hire them from anywhere we want, both like within our country, but also outside our country. And we have these practices and processes in order to keep the team motivated, to keep communication well, which is a challenge, but it's a very nice challenge. And it works for now, and we are very happy to like announce it and to be proud of it, that it is a good way for us. Sometimes, of course, it's not only like upsides. I won't be like blurring your eyes that we have like a true ultimate working company that is perfect. Of course, we have chaos sometimes. We have like we don't deliver sometimes. It's like basic things, but we have this direction which we follow, and we gather people who are in line with those goals and with the direction. So we'll basically have the same idea about how we want to work, with whom we want to work, and where we want to go together.
Since Ideamotive operates fully remote, how do you build a company culture in such a setting?
Yeah, and this is a very, very good question. And it was super tricky because, like, in terms of performance, basically, this remote thing has only one drawback from my perspective, is that when you are all together in one office, you kind of have this feeling of being in an office, right? You have this kind of feeling of being together, collaborating with people. Once you get outside of the office to online, to having like a home office, you basically mostly stay in the same place you live, you spend your time, which can influence in a bad way your performance. But also you kind of have a feeling of being alone, right? You're just there with your computer. You don't have your colleagues next to you sitting, chatting and stuff like that. So that was an obstacle. It is a common problem for all like remote workers. That's obvious thing. But we decided to have a step back and think about people, not processes first. So we had this thinking process of what are our like values and what we want to represent, all of us in our company. And the very first thing that occurs is that we are all entrepreneurs in our company. So this is a culture that we cultivate, and each one of us, even like on the lowest level of organization structure, is a like kind of master, is a responsible for their field, and they have a huge responsibility and a free hand to make changes, to propose optimization, to have a empowerment to make decisions in their field. And basically what we would like to do is not to have like goals and KPIs going from up to down, but the other way around. If I'm in a given field and I'm hands-on, then I know best what was probably the good direction, what good optimization, whatever what we can boost in this field. So I can give this proposition upwards. And by having this entrepreneurial mindset, we cultivate that, and people feel empowered. They feel responsible for things, and because not all people want responsibility, right? This is like most thing like if you work for big corporations or big firms, you have a little like narrow responsibility, and this is very difficult for those kind of people to go beyond that and to feel free. They very often don't know what to do with this freedom, and they get stressed about that. So if you go for entrepreneurship mindset, you find out that those people will self-organize, and they will give you an additional value instead of stressing out and being like very narrow thinking. I don't want to say that they're like better or worse people, of course, but this is the thing that we cultivate, and for us it works. Of course, it entails some dangers. If, for instance, we don't communicate our direction right, all those people in those all fields in the company that have empowerment, they can go in different directions, right? So this is very important for us to have this oversight and context over control, and to help people understand where and why we are heading somewhere, and give them tools, context, and free hand to do their best in order to succeed. And this is a baseline of our culture. And because of that, people who are sitting in their homes in front of their computer, they don't feel like they have no colleagues. They don't feel like they're alone, because they have their field. They're responsible for something. They're building something. They are like have this thing of like success, because they can feel and touch what they are delivering, what they are like adding to the company. And they know that there are like other people to help them if necessary, because like everybody here is like to help each other. So yeah, this is basically mindset. But in terms of rituals, sorry, I'm like probably talkative, but this is a broad topic. So
No
so
problem.
this is a mindset, right? So entrepreneur mindset. But also, of course, you have rituals, and they're like probably basic and boring shit, like like status meetings, but also like I think what I would like to emphasize, probably the most important thing is that we have this kickoff meeting every month, in which we have a status over all company. So like people just, are presenting what they achieved, where like threats, what they did or they did not do, what are their like obstacles. So we can go into those small fields and we can see it, we can elaborate that, we can help, we can, I don't know, give some kudos, we can give some feedback about that. So it is like not like presenting, like reporting to the team. And I feel like, okay, I have to report, where my KPIs, did I deliver or not? But this is like more, okay, look, this is what I did. And what do you think about that, guys? Or is it a good direction for us? Or, I did something exciting here. And, or I have this awesome idea because I just stumbled across this problem of my client and I think it will work for us, and stuff like that. So we have this status meeting, this kickoff meeting every month, and it is like a gathering of the whole company and is very, very important to engage. But also the other thing, we have, of course have headquarters, but we don't really meet in person. So instead of like having a huge office like we used to have, we have like a small rooms to have like to have a space for people over to work in, this opportunity to work in. But instead of like paying for huge headquarters and floor space, we spend the budget on our integration. So every like 3-4 months, we go somewhere. We rent a cottage somewhere or like a villa, and we go together to spend some time. And we do a workshop then, and we have this weekend to have some fun and to integrate and to spend time together. And we don't like save money on that, right? Because we save money on the office, so we can invest that into like those trips, let's say. So this is quite important, and this is new. This is like been introduced recently, and like people are quite excited about that. Yeah, but definitely there are downsides, and like this attachment, it is really important that people feel attached to the company values, and that they feel as a part of the team. And this is basically my job, to for my people, my teams to feel this way. But it's not always that easy, and sometimes it doesn't work. And sometimes, like I think what I observe, if we all work from our homes and we are sole, then more often we feel down, we feel stressed. So my job is being like a because like if you're in office, you can already feel, right? Sometimes and someone enters the room and you feel, okay, something's wrong, right? You can, ask him or her, or reach out, or like go for a coffee with her or him. If you're remote and you don't have a scheduled call, you can't see that, right? So you have to be very sensitive about like little stimuluses, little signals of what's going on there. And that was a huge, and is still a huge difference for me, because it's much harder for a manager, and not only me, but for my managers and for my board above me, to control and be aware of that. And this is very tricky. And sometimes you don't really know what's going on. And the second threat is that because of work, because we have this mindset of being an entrepreneur, and because of working in the same place in which you live, there is a threat of not being on point with your work-life balance. And this is like huge for me, for an instance. And we work as a individual, we as a team, but in terms of individual, we work really long hours. So basically, we have this trust, we don't control each other, but given this responsibility, this mindset, these things to do, this exciting optimization we can have, and there's so many ideas we can introduce, we kind of push it too much sometimes. And this is nice because you can see that people are engaged and they're motivated and they like what they do. But on the other hand, this is very short-term thinking, because in long term, people get burnout. And we have instances of people like just quitting because it was too much, because they had this pressure. They kind of want to navigate in that, but they were alone in their homes. They couldn't like go and close computers and go do some shit. Sorry for like using S words. This is kind of my style. I will try to avoid that. So sometimes it's really difficult for them to have this cut, and this is difficult for me as well. So we all try to look for each other, and to like promote this work-life balance life, but sometimes it's difficult. And more often we see not only our company, but also in our team, but also on delivery team and in other companies of our friends, that people get more and more burnout. And this is a huge threat. And this is what I cope with on daily basis.
How difficult is it to learn to be a great people reader in a remote environment?
It's very hard to assess yourself.
Mhm.
For sure, I'm doing my best, but this is people business, right? This is what one of our co-founders says: it's people business. So we have this two sides of this three sides of this the people business. So first of all, we have customers, right? Who also work remotely. We see each other on cameras. We don't meet in person. I meet my client maybe once per month, like just one instance. So this is very rare. We have to have this connection over Zoom, Meet, whatever, which is quite different than before, right? Second aspect is that we have this delivery team, programmers. Sometimes it's quite easy because maybe not most, but big part of programmers used to work from their homes from since like many years from now. So it wasn't that new, and sometimes even developers like this movement towards home office, because this is where they feel comfortable and they prefer that. So this part let's leave for now, because that is more natural, and they rather get used to it. Sometimes you have obstacles there as well, but this is not a big deal comparing to others. But the biggest deal is like indeed this business team of mine, of ours. And you asked me about my competencies and whether I grew, and whether I'm competent about that. I don't feel like I could be better. That's for sure. I think I lack sometimes uh, this having like a distance towards matters. So I'm very involved in what's going on, because I have also this entrepreneurial mindset. So I'm really like I'm very excited. I love my job, uh, and I'm really into it. And sometimes I get very emotional. So if I'm like in high emotions because something happened, there is a problem, I have stress on myself, I'm not, my radar is not on point with other people, right? Because I'm off balance myself. So my biggest challenge now is like, my biggest job in general, responsibility is to make a better place for my team to work in, to give them tools, to give them context, to give them nice challenges, and push them, but not to the limit, and just help them grow. This is like above everything else. This is my biggest challenge and my biggest responsibility, and this is what I try to achieve. But this is very difficult, and when I find myself off balance, I sometimes I'm blind and I can't see those things. But then the other value of our company kicks in, which is very important, is our feedback culture. So I know that the feedback is a buzzword, right? Everybody gives feedback and receives feedback and stuff like that. But and I'm aware of that, so we introduce that in a different manner. Even in recruitment process, at the very last stage, when there is like a CEO of our company, Robert, and most often me, after 2 hours of interview, we ask one question. Okay, give us feedback, but not about the process, about the emails we send to you. Give feedback personal to me. right? What did you like, but basically what you didn't like? What's constructive feedback? Give me some ideas. And this is like sometimes people are very shocked, like, oh my gosh, they're like on the other side, they're being interviewed for a job and they have to say something to me. And of course, if they will colorize everything and they will say only good words, I'm not satisfied, right? I want to hear what I can do better. And so from interview stage to the whole onboarding and then the whole cooperation with Ideamotive, we cultivate this feedback culture. So very often we have this very emotional discussions online in front of in front of the whole team. We are not scared of like saying a proper words that we want to say instead of being diplomatic, right? We don't cultivate diplomacy, we cultivate honesty. And if I'm furious, if I'm angry, if I'm upset because someone did not deliver, or I think someone is lazy, or he could or she could do better, I will just tell him or her that in front, into their faces. And the reaction are like, there are like different reactions, right? Sometimes people are like accepting that, but sometimes they don't. They get frustrated themselves. There is a pressure from the clients. There are like people off balance as well. So we have these little fights, but this is what we like and this is what we cultivate, because due to those fights we can grow. And after a fight, we know that we can trust each other, because this is like brothers and sisters, right? Brothers in the childhood, they fight, but they know that they love each other and they can trust each other because of the fights they had. If there was like a diplomacy and only nice words, it would not work. So we kind of cultivate this feedback culture in really like a cruel meaning of it. I can say to my CEO that he did that he made a big mistake, or the things that he does is they're not good for the company, and I can tell him in front of the people. And I want to tell him in front of people because I want to encourage my people to tell me those kind of things. And I can say to my financial team, why didn't they pay invoices for our delivery team? And I can give them some fuck ups and stuff like that, and it's totally fine. And of course, it is not like not emotional way. It is always emotional, but this is what we want to cultivate. Emotions are part of people business thing. So why don't we just embrace that and just cultivate that? So yeah.
How do you manage to match entrepreneurs and talents in a way that they share the same values?
This is a core process in our company, right? This is the process that the whole company stands on, that we are able to match the proper talent to our customers. And there are like different aspects of matching a proper talent. What does it mean, right? So first of all, there's a technical side. And this is quite obvious. We can gather information, we can go into the code, we can audit, we can I don't know, do the workshops, whatever. We can get it done. And that's quite easy. Second one is that we have this soft skills on point. And it, for instance, it means like English skill for that instance, right? Or there is someone is very introvert or extrovert. He communicates well, and sometimes client is very extrovert, and there will be a sole developer on from one side. Giving him an introvert probably is more risky than giving him extrovert who can like voice his opinion, stuff like that. And there are like different aspects of these soft skills that's very important. And this is what we always ask our clients about. And they are very surprised about that, because like other companies tend to focus only on this technical side. But there's also a third aspect, and this is a cultural fit. So we are aware that if you're happy and satisfied with your work, even though it's never like 100% satisfied, there are like always parts that you don't like, but you have to do, right? But in general, if you're satisfied with your work and with the people you collaborate with, you will be motivated, engaged, and you will want to prolong and give value. If you feel like a not meaningful individual, you don't like people you work with, you don't kind of put your 100% in, right? So this cultural fit is very important in matchmaking process because we have this kind of two-phase company. On the customer side, we want to define and get to know company's culture in order to understand their dynamics, because there are like sometimes bigger firms that like kind of have those sluggish processes and administration red tape and stuff like that, right? And there are companies that are maybe smaller, but they work within like very compliant and very secure environments like banking, finances, and stuff like that. So before you code, you have like thousands of meetings, right? To have all the stakeholders have hands on what to do. So there are like more calls than coding. And sometimes there is a startup where it's only founder and he manages them all. And he's very chaotic. He changes minds quickly. So these are like cultures of given companies. So we have to know we are talking to and what their culture is. And even though sometimes we have a very good match in technical and soft skills matter, but the culture is different, we will probably won't be promoting this given candidate to those teams because we know it will be very short term. So after like 1 or 2 months, he or she will be gone. And on the other side, they're like different programmers, right? Sometimes want to rush things. Sometimes some are very extrovert and they bargain and they want to, have their own show on the call. Sometimes they're introvert that they don't speak their voices, they don't speak up, they just think and they do, but they don't voice it. So after like 1 month, they give feedback that they are gone, right? So they're like different types of programmers. Sometimes like red tape and code. Sometimes they like coding more, and we have to have those aspects as well very well recognized in order to have this ultimate match. And obviously, it's not always 100% good fit, right? We also make mistakes, and sometimes we don't know things about programmers or about talent in general or about our customers, but we kind of have this learning curve that we want to like have this Pareto thing that we want to invest 20% to have 80% back. And because of our experience and this learning curve, we can more and more easy establish of what kind of type of programmer we're talking to and what kind of customers we're talking to. So with experience comes wisdom and this touch, this gut feeling that we can have, okay, this is a great match, right? But also the whole recruitment process kicks in as well. So the very good value added for our talent side is that we flatten and we shorten the whole process, because very often there is like a call, 15-minute call, then we have a technical interview, then we have like a assessment, then we have a soft interview, and then we have a call with the CEO, right? Like 5 stages or 6 stages. We kind of like shorten it like to maximum 3 stages, no more. And we would like to have like this kind of the job on our shoulders as well, kind of burden on our shoulders, to have it very easy for a developer to go through this process. And this process is built in this way that is both good for a client for the things he wants to check and make sure that there's a good fit, but also is very convenient for the developer. And during this process, we go through technical issues and assessment, but also like the soft skills and this cultural fit. So this is very, very important, especially nowadays where like the world is open and you can basically go and reach out to Poland, Ukraine, Hungary, and go and get your developers. But this is not all, right? There are like things entailed, like English, like communication skills, but also this cultural fit. So this is our value added for our customers and talent.
What time management tactics do you use to provide a short list of talents to your customers within 24 hours?
It's a very interesting concept of time management, right? Because you kind of can't manage your time. It's like you have a time you can do something with that. But But yeah, I mean, this like prioritization and having because like in this business, tech business, it is super agile and super quick.
Mhm.
If you if you sleep upon a thing, it's lost. So there are like plenty of things going on, both on talent side but also customer side. And basically, maybe you know the joke about programmers that the most stressful moment for programmer is when she or he is looking for a job and it lasts for like 5 seconds because like develop if he or she is good, if he or she has a resume, like he or she is getting like 10 or 15 offers every week, right? So if you're not quick enough, if you overlooked something, if you don't have this relationship with your programmers, you will just get lost. You will just lose on this market. So you have to be very quick and agile on this part of the side. On the other side, customers, right? When someone is about to build an app, or and so this is one case when like end-to-end projects, right? He or she has a project and wants to deliver is a different manner because then you have to have a workshop, you have to give estimations, and have this offering stage, and it's quite okay, right? A normal pace of doing business. But when a customer needs instant help because something is burning, and he immediately needs the senior developer that will rescue and help him, we have like a couple of hours to react, and we lost like many opportunities of just being too late. And this is why we have this process of qualification. So we qualify our leads very in detail. And if we see that this is a good opportunity for us, we are hands on. We just rush for it, like everybody. And this is quite exciting because like every day it's a new challenge, right? You wake up and there are like different problems and there are new opportunities, and there are so many things to do in technology, and you have to like navigate in that. You have to have these priorities. You have to have this. I had the problem. I had this such a problem when I joined IT. There were like so many things to do, and yeah, so many opportunities because like everybody needs technology, right? Everybody needs optimization. Everybody needs developers. Of course, sometimes the prices are too high. Sometimes the skill set is not a match, but like everybody needs tech. Every given company needs tech. So there are like plenty of opportunities, and it basically only depends on your effort how much you take out of it. So there is like this stimulus, this incentive that if you put more, you will get out more. And this is like very strict rule, very straightforward. So with time, I learned that you have to qualify first, and you have to focus on topics and deals and matters that will give you the most ROI or this Pareto effect. So I would say that I kind of chilled out a bit through experience, and this is so fun to observe when there are newcomers to our business. New account managers, new sales representatives that they're like super excited about things, and a customer just came and he has like $500,000 for this project. Wow, it's so exciting! I said, okay, I'm happy for you. Let's see what happens like within 1 week, right? Because within 1 week you will have 3 opportunities like that, and you will close none because they're just having want to just check something or something like that. So it comes with time, this experience and this calmness, let's say. But it is difficult because you have the constant incentives to rush, to make deals. And also, this is on the customer side, but on the demand side, on supply side, um, IT business is very how to put it in English, is like very hermetic. It's very close. Like companies are very close to each other. We are like friends, And this comes from a mindset that developers help each other in general. Like they treat themselves, they train themselves, they train each other, they reach out to each other, they'll help each other, stuff like that. So it also goes up to like C level, and on company level we help each other. So we have even this group in Poland, which is called like a, let's say, group of Polish IT companies, in which there are like 400 companies. And basically, if something happens, if I need help because I don't have expertise in a given matter, the arena, or if I have some people that I can engage but I don't have customers for them, we can. It is like we can have a trade-off. We can have like we can trade those people. We can trade skills. We can trade competencies. And I basically have like I don't know 200 phone numbers to CEOs and COOs to like different IT companies in Poland. So basically, if I need something because like customer came and they need this given developer, and I know there is a dev shop that specializes in this given area, it takes me to pick up a phone, call him or her, and say, okay, I have this deal. Give me some profiles. So this is very very straightforward. I put effort, I get something back. But this is also very you can immerse in that. You can like go too much, and you can call and make a call after call after call, and it turns out to be 9 p.m. So yeah, this is very difficult to have this work-life balance because it is like time management. And this is what my previous boss said to me, and I very value that. Is there will be always too much work. You can't do everything. There will be always something to do. If you have this entrepreneurial mindset, you will find your new tasks. And this is a big threat for the whole team, for the whole company, that we can rush too much. It can lead to burnout, it can lead to demotivation, it can lead to leaving the company, to sadness, to being overwhelmed. There are like very many things that can bad happen to you. And this is your responsibility as an individual to have this, frontier and say no at some point. And this is what I'm learning. I try to teach that members of my team, but this is difficult because this is so addictive. Make me as a salesman, I love to sales. I feel glad, right? If I sell something, I feel alive. So, and it's so easy, right? I can just pick up a phone, call someone, give a developer to my customer, it's done. So this is very very immersive, addictive, and difficult to manage in time because of this like work-life balance. But there are tools that helps you out, and for instance, Clockify, right? This is very important for us, and this is essence of our business. But also there are like productive tools like we use ClickUp or Jira, which helps you out and boost performance. And we know that time is limited, so we rather manage tools and efforts instead of time. And to do so, we optimize and automate a lot of things. So if something is repeatable, we automate it first thing in the morning. Like this is also my job to create this environment for my people. And one of my biggest parts of this job is to automate things. If someone is just putting profiles from one thing to other place, it's like a monkey job. Automate that. If we need a report to have the oversight and transparent information about something, we automate that, and so it creates itself. So there are tools, automation, which are very important, and because of those automations and tools, we can have a smaller team who is like very hands-on, who is very effective, efficient, because like they have all these tools and automation, and they can focus on important job that the robot cannot do. So this is a big thing. We are like a data for automation for company.
How did Clockify change the workflow at your company when you first started using it?
I don't think I'm competent to answer this question because when I was introduced to company, it already been used. But I know how it helps me out nowadays, and because like the whole business stands on Clockify, to be honest. Yeah. So like your tool, maybe not your tool, but the how to put it in the word, because it's like the tool was great, but the very important thing in our business is logging hours. The whole business stands on it because we are very transparent, and talent logs hours, and he or she gets remuneration for that. So if I log 10 hours, I have like $40 per hour. I get some $400 payment on my invoice. But the same tool gives information for our clients because our customers can see how many hours they're being logged on the developer side, and they have a straightforward calculation there as well. So we are on this margin between for how much we buy hours and for how much we sell hours. So obviously a tool that tracks hours, which is reliable, which is easy to use, which has API and stuff like that. We can connect it to our different warehouses and automations. It's vital. It's a core. If we don't have this oversight, if we don't have this transparency, we cannot operate. We cannot calculate our forecasts. We cannot see what our financial results are. We cannot assess whether a developer is above the budget or below the budget. We cannot assess if we cannot give transparency to our clients because they can't see those hours logged. So this is a vital tool for our business, and it's not vital because of features, but it's vital in an essence that it's very reliable and it's very straightforward. So we don't really need like fancy features like reports and stuff like that. What we need is that we have a reliable tool that has many plugins, that is easy to use, has great UX, in which we can tag and see different people on different projects. So like basic features, but optimized to maximum. And this is what Clockify delivers for sure. And without that, we would be like blind and deaf, and we could not operate. I would be like without hands without that. So this is very important.
How does your team use Clockify on a daily basis?
So basically, on delivery team, all talent needs to log their hours on daily basis. And also it depends on customers' needs. Some customers, like big corporations, they don't need like logged. They don't need to ever meaning to be logged, but they, for example, just need it's 8 hours a day and just log 8 hours. But there are some like small startups that are very agile. They need to optimize their costs. That they need it like into the detail of 1 or 10 minutes. And described, right? So this is what delivery team knows, and they act accordingly. So this is very important to have this flexibility on this side. That for one developer, he can bulk add hours for 1 week, and for the other developer, he or she can put like a log with description down to a 1 minute detail, right? So this flexibility is very important for us. On business team, we don't really log hours because I'm not here to control how many hours spent. I'm here to check whether there are results. But sometimes on for the marketing side, we like to log in order to see the effort that's been put and compare that to those results. So sometimes we use it as a kind of a ROI or just to compare A/B testing or something like that on business team, but it's not for transparency. This is for like analysis purposes. On the delivery side, we need that for business. So Clockify is super vital, basically.
Does everyone in Ideamotive have their best time to connect?
Yep. So this is it mostly works for a delivery team. So there are like customers from US, right? And there is like a 7 hours difference in between those countries. So obviously we need this overlap to happen. And this is in which we say, okay, this developer is available for you guys for 3 hours. He's online on Slack. He's there to have a call or something, but not before that, not after that. sometimes, and on delivery side, it's very important to establish that at the very beginning of cooperation, because the worst thing that can happen is when the programmer is in the zone and someone pings him. I said, "Oh, what's up, man? Maybe we'll just hang out on the call." That's the most frustrating thing for a programmer, and it kills productivity, right? So we have to establish that, and it's part of our account management team in order to establish those kind of rules, to have this transparency and clear communication between parties. But when it comes to our business team, we have also this kind of some kind of rules how we communicate. And basically we use Slack only for purposes of having something urgent, or for having this kind of e-coffee thing, right? When you can just hang out with someone and just chat about, not business related matters. If there is an important thing that can wait, is not urgent, or there is a note to be put somewhere, we use our productivity tool ClickUp, in which there is also communication and chat. There are communicative and chat tools inside within this ClickUp tool, and we just record that within a context of a given task, project, deal, whatever. So we split this communication into tools, and we know which one to use in a given matter. We don't really use phones, so it's not like I will call my teammate. I will say, "Okay, where are you?" Like that. So we don't do that. It's very disruptive, and we don't like that. We call someone if it's really necessary, but it happens really rarely. And also we have this like freedom thing that I don't really care if someone starts at 10 or at 7 or 6 a.m. As long as she or he is delivering, it's freedom. The only thing we appreciate and we cultivate is this clear communication, over communication. For instance, I want to go for a jog during a day. I will just write, "Okay, I'm out for 1 hour. I will go do some running," and that's totally fine for our team. Everyone will just boost you and give you motivation to beat your record, and then you're back. You say, "I'm back," and we are back to work. And sometimes I only can work 7 hours a day. Sometimes I need to work 11 hours a day. So it's all my decision as long as I'm delivering results. So freedom and context over control. And within our business team, we don't really use Clockify. Like I told you, it's sometimes basic, like in PMO, like in operation sales, we don't use at all. We use in marketing for like A/B testing. We try to use it once in account management and sales to establish what kind of an effort is being done on a given customers. But it was very hard to not only assess hours but also effort. It was very hard to track it, and it didn't give us a value, but a lot of frustration because of this logging thing. So we don't really use that in a business team, which doesn't mean that it's not vital.
What do you think? Are remote teams the future?
I mean, it's already present, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's happening just in front of our eyes, and we have to cope with that. And to be honest, I mean, I've onboarded 10 people on my business team fully remotely. And for instance, now I'm in a process of onboarding. One of our teammates joined us on this Monday, and it was kind of a weird at the first time when I did that, but with every other and a second, third, and fourth one, it gets more and more natural, and we kind of got used to it, both sides. The one that is being interviewed and then onboarded, but also for me to onboard someone online. So I think it's not a matter of difficulty in its essence, but in terms of how you do it. So to be honest, I rather onboard someone offline to have this touch and feel and to have this physical connection let's say so, like when you can, see reactions, you can hang out. It's not like in front of the computer when you lean towards your screen. You're more natural. There is no internet connection issues, microphone, stuff like that. You can go and have a lunch. It's always more loose. But this is something we have to cope with. And I think it is necessary to have both skills, because sometimes when you lack those pre-pandemic skill of having a offline team, then you cannot really transpose that into online world, and maybe you will lack those soft skills, because it's so important to have these small talks. It's so important to have this human attitude. And if you have a call with 5 or 6 people and everybody but you are muted, and some of them have no camera on, it's so much different than having those guys in the one room where you can see all the reactions, where you can see those smiles, or if someone's bored, or someone just is saying on Facebook instead of hearing, of listening to you. So you have to have this like sensitivity and awareness of what's going on, which is much more difficult for onboarding. But I also remind myself about, because I was being onboarded online, partially online as well. And I remember from my perspective, it was really strange, because I was like sitting in my room. I had this 1 hour meeting with my boss. It was super great, but it ended. And then I was like, okay, what should I do now? Maybe I'll write to someone on Slack, or maybe I will just, I don't know, check my emails. And then you do that for like 15 or 30 minutes, and then you realize that you're alone and nobody is out there, and you can do whatever you want, and no one will notice. And I remember my boss told me that appreciate those moments, because soon enough you'll have too much work. So just go and play your video games now, if you have space for that. And this is what I promote as well. So if you have this space, if you don't have any meetings, you don't have to just sit and try to figure out what to do. Just enjoy and go for the jog of yours, or play your video games, and work will come at some point. So no worries. So this is a different attitude, and I think all people get used to that with time. And it's much easier to onboard people now than it was 1 year ago, or when the pandemic started. But you have to be very sensitive. And I think what follows is rotation. So people change job quicker and more often than before. And this is a huge trend, not only due to pandemic stuff, but also like in general, like people have many opportunities, many things to learn and to grow. And they are just attracted by new challenges. So this is like a huge trend, not only due to the fact that we proceed and convert into online remote working, but this is part of it. So you have to be aware of people being more open for new opportunities. And if they're like bored, or if they are like online remote and no one is like next to them, they start to think of a downside, right? Of maybe I'm bored, or I don't have anyone to talk to because no one's there, or I'm too shy to write to someone, and in the office I could at least hear some conversations and just participate. And they just look around, and they have all those offers online attacking them. And so yeah, this is also like what's our challenge, just to keep people motivated and within our companies. And people change jobs, and also like my team, like on delivery side there was a huge rotation, but this IT, and it's always been like that. Like programmers change jobs and projects. But in business team, this is a different matter, and people tend to change job more and more often.
Do you think outsourcing is the future of the IT industry?
I think the future is not even I mean, yeah, but the outsourcing, because there are like different type of outsourcing, right? So in terms of like having an agency overseas that helps you with a given process, this kind of outsourcing, I think it will change with time because of a dynamics on this agency side. So basically, what due to the pandemic, what kicked in is the trend of cutting off smaller companies and boosting bigger ones. And the other trend is because of the marketing on sales opportunities, right? Like bigger companies, when the world is open and everybody reaches out, it's easier for big companies to have, this trustworthy marketing communication, to have this exposure online. It's just easier for them, right? If you were looking your IT company in your hometown, it was like you could find a boutique dev shop and it was fine for you. But now everything is online, so it's easy. But the other trend is that because of due to the pandemic, big companies, tech companies, also open up for external overseas talent. So, for instance, Silicon Valley, right? They used to employ people from US or from Silicon Valley. Of course, sometimes they had, quarters somewhere else, offices in the world, and some outsourced agencies to work for them. But now, like when people went to home offices for a home office, they don't really care if this given person is from US or he works from Poland or Hungary or Ukraine or wherever. There are like different things that matter, like overlap or technical skills or English skills, right? But if it's from New York or Warsaw, it does not matter anymore. So those big tech companies started to employ people from Poland, from CE region directly. And this is a huge threat for those agencies and outsourcing in general, because it enables big companies to have spread teams, pay less for that, and have best talent, because like they can pay half what they pay to a developer from New York, and this is still 2 times more than we pay for a developer, right? So the math is obvious. So we lost so many good developers. We lost, well, they just moved on, right? But we don't cooperate anymore with so many good developers, or we lost opportunities to employ them because there was a counter offer directly from US, Canada, Norway, England, and stuff like that. And this is a big threat for us nowadays, because like we have to give other like values added to maintain this competitive edge of ours. Thank you very much. And I have to admit that you are very well prepared. So that's a respect towards my side. So thank you for that, because I really value that. And of course, I love your tool. But also like it's nice to meet people behind this tool. So it was a great meeting for me as well. And thank you for those 12 questions that made my mind work. So yeah. Thank you and have a great day.